Unless you're in Australia, and then it's the 1st.
Yes. Oh, right. In Australia, it's August 1st, but for me and for a lot of people, it's July 31st, 2016. And this is a special Sholar gathering, but we're going to be sharing it with everyone else. So we don't know where this is going. We're just going to start with it. However, just a few minutes before I got on, I just had the urge, guidance, whatever you want to call it, to begin with talking a bit about the Rite of Avalon. This is something that I put into motion in the year 2000. I think it was, yes. And it lasted for 2-3 years. Now that was way long ago, you know, it was a long time ago, 2000. Really, that's 16 years ago. Can you believe it? I mean, I'm still getting used to the fact that we're in a new millennium and that was 16 years ago, you know, mind blowing. Anyway, I just moved to Santa Fe with Simeon. We were together then. And I had the strong guidance to create this website, which is now just grandmothered into Spirit Mythos, and it's just inactive. It just has the material on it, called the Rite of Avalon. And in those days, we didn't have all this stuff. So we had to use Yahoo email list, and everybody got an email, you know, from Yahoo. Every time you said something, they had to wait till it got on your email, and then you could read it, you know, and then you sent it back. It was very clumsy, and it really didn't work very well at all. So we couldn't have a group that we wanted. There were other complications, things happened, but even so, the information and the energy that I was guided to put forth on the Rite of Avalon really seemed to work at the time. And when I go back and read it, it's very appropriate for us, because, you know, Sholar means, according to Thoth, holy hosts. And I just feel, I know in my inner knowing that my guidance with Sholar as such is giving me that information, and not just saying, well, you know, we're just going to hear these crystal skulls and this and that, but we formed like a sisterhood around that, not only the skulls, but the whole energy of our work in the Osiris Orion project, and now coming in the Elixis Mundi, you know, light program. That all of this is really on the on the foundation work that was put forth with the Rite of Avalon. Even though on a physical level, there's, you know, just a few pages of it. There's no group so we can see what people said or did, because all that's gone, you know, just the website. But what was being done on the inner plane, again, related to what was being put out on the outer, is where it stands. And I feel that, I don't know, you know, I was getting ready to do this. It was like about 30 minutes before I was going to get on. I thought, I don't know what I'm going to say to open all this up. I want all of us to share and all of us to talk, but I need to set the form, you know, I need to set it out there in some way. I can't just sit here. I got to do something. So I thought, what am I going to do? And just bam. And I couldn't get it yesterday. I couldn't get it last night, but this is how it happens so often for me. 30 minutes before, right? Boom, I know what I'm going to do. And I want to read to you some parts, just little parts of the Rite of Avalon to get us started. And then we'll open it for our whole round table. These were the parts that I was guided to choose. And it's a little more reading than I had planned, but it's not too long. And again, I'm just guided to share it. So I'm going to do that. From the moment of birth to the passage of new life, again and again we come from the sea of souls, cast upon the shores of vision and light. Perpetually we thrive in the rich vapors of creation, never ending. In this turn and swirl, this dance of birthing stars, which we have been, are, and ever will be, we leave our imprint upon the crystal sands and in the deeps of earth and cosmos. These are our mystical messages, the language we speak as surely as dolphin song to our species and beyond. As women of the Avalon Shield, we could say as women of the Sholar, the holy hosts, the language we speak as surely as dolphin song to our species, as women of the Avalon Shield, so we give homage to the old ones who spawned our genetic memories and gave us pathways into the earth. We speak with the tongues of angels and converse freely among the sons and daughters of God. Yet we also acknowledge that we are clay-born from the soul of the planet, and therefore take responsibility for our mark upon the earth. From the fire in the heart of Gaia, the unicorn leads us through the loop of infinity to our destiny in perpetual creation. We are of the tribe, the Elohim of the new worlds, spun from the ancient turning of the potter's wheel. Thus our hope is given truth in the epiphany of remembrance.
Wow.
Wow.
Now we go to something on the night of October 7th, 2009. And since I started that in 2000, so I guess it was going on at least 9 or 10 years. No, I'm sorry. I get confused easily. This was written, not, I put it in the Avalon site, but this was actually put in 2009. It was a later edition, one of the few things that was put in later, much after Avalon had disappeared. And I know some of you are familiar with this, but this really strikes at the heart of our Sholar, so I wanted to read it again. I saw 13 women sitting cross-legged around a square pool. They wore white sheer robes tied high at the waist with golden ribbon upon their heads. With golden ribbon, and upon their heads was a simple but beautiful golden diadem set with small pearls and emeralds. The women were positioned on the top step, the 3 steps leading down to the pool. The pool was not large, but it radiated a beautiful aura about it, with the translucent water seeming to be alive and calling to me. There were 8 pillars around the pool at the level of the top step, where the women were seated. The pillars were of white marble with golden veins, and the steps and pool were of gold. In the center of the pool was a marvelous white lotus with light blue, golden yellow, and pink, pale pink twisting flames, 3 flames in a triple helix together, emitting upward from it. I received that these were the 13 goddesses of the veil, or rather priestesses who had once lived in this world and who were now abiding in the new Earth star vibration of our future world. These priestesses now maintained the link of the divine feminine between this world and the new Earth, specifically through their service to the new Earth threefold flame. The veil is that sheath of light between this world and the greater continuum of worlds. Yet these priestesses were only one layer of a full-blown lotus of the goddesses, which I received as the goddess fold. This fold contained many interlacing layers or petals of service, such as the swan singers, the white buffalo dancers, and the goddesses of the moon, etc. All these goddesses have energy aspects radiating into our current world and connecting into and through individual humans incarnated at this time. These persons who carry the goddess signal within them are not all female. Men who maintain a good connection with the divine feminine also have this contact. Understand that all this I speak of here is within us, being strengthened by inner communion with the goddess fold. I was also shown how each of us may become more open to this aspect of our nature and to the connection we have to the goddess fold. I saw a shining, whirling star of colors and very brilliant. It was streaming tendrils of beaded light shifting through the spectrum of many colors out from it as it danced in the dark and sacred void of nothing. This, I was told, was the mother star, the Ma star. It was a sacred unfolding coming through the new Earth star threefold flame. The goddesses of the veil were the capstone of the goddess fold, and therefore as guardians of the threefold flame, so they were keepers of the mother star as well. It was requested of me, well, then it goes on that I created this artwork and whatever, but that's not germane for us now. But this, you see, we are creating this, the holy the holy hosts, the Sholar, are a part now of the goddess folk for all time. This, I'm saying that. This is what I believe. This is my reality. And so long after we're not here anymore, we're still here in the goddess folk. We're other places too, but hey, we're talking about quantum reality, But we have set the pattern for this. And so we remain in that pattern as representative of that aspect of the goddess folk. So Sholar, the holy host, come in with the swan singers and the buffalo singers, and it's like all these groups in conscious. See what humanity does when they create the internet and they create Facebook with all their little groups, and and you have this group and that group. They're recreating the actual cosmic net that has all these things, only without trolls or crashes or being locked out of Facebook. It's nothing like that. But they create the true spectrum of it is there, and we're trying to recreate it by doing what we're doing with the internet. In some ways we succeed to some degree. In other ways we fail miserably. But I see us there. I see us there now. And we don't do a lot on the physical. I know time passes and nothing's happening. And I'm aware of this. It's not like I'm forgetting about it and just not doing anything with it. I'm aware that it's building. There's energy building. And that's what we all need to be aware of in the Sholar. And also people listening to this video, we're not exclusive. We're doing something that we feel guided to do. And we've invested energy, time, effort, money, things in order to put ourselves in this position. Anybody can become part of the goddess folk as a whole. One individual can, and these are terms that I'm using to try to give it expression and understanding. You can call it anything you want. But as we develop, back to what I was saying, as the Sholar, develop the undercurrent of it, where the deeper waters reside in our own beings, what we're feeling and thinking, I am connected to this. I'm being connected. I feel the connection to the dwellers. I feel all of this. And, I'm guided to this ceremony under the stars, just me, myself, and in the skull, or maybe just me and myself. I'm guided to do this and that. It's like, as part of the whole, you're also the individual that represents the whole in this particular scenario, And so that's why it's so important that we not forget it, even though we're not doing a lot of stuff together all the time, because we really are, but it's on another level of experience. Okay, let's see. The next thing I wanted to share with you. I wrote this in May of 2001, so it was part of the original Avalon Rite deal. And it's entitled, Who Does the Grail Serve? I've been contemplating and asking for guidance as to the next step in the Rite of Avalon. In so doing, I have been given insight that our rite is part of a larger dynamic of authenticity ongoing in the planetary spectrum in the 21st century. I have Pussycat is active. I have related to you in the Rite of Avalon introduction something I wish to repeat here, as I find it so germane to our rite and thus germane to our Sholars. What do I do with it? Here it is. It is now clear to me that the portals, such as what we are calling Avalon, Sholar, in this context, were closed to humanity in order, I see, no, this is Avalon like the real Avalon, the interdimensional. So let me start that sentence over. It is now clear to me that the portals, such as we are calling Avalon in this context, were closed to humanity in order to keep us from escaping this reality until we had integrated it into our being. Thus, our connection to otherworld state through the Rite of Avalon is not intended as an attempt to open an escape route. It is instead an exploration in actualizing a greater potential for experience and gnosis within this realm in which we live our everyday lives. When we connect in deep feeling to the women of the past in this passage, we are, in truth, looking deeper into ourselves. What true place of being would be What true place of being would we be called to had we lived the lives of these women in their world with the spiritual challenges they faced? They were stripped of all flights of fancy, called upon to meet very real choices and actions. Certainly they must have had their lesser moments when personal weakness overcame them. But for the most part, they truly met their challenges with a spirit and resilience that was pulse beat by pulse beat, complete surrender to life. All the while they upheld in the light their undying dedication to divinity. These women and men were no more than are each one of us. They had no greater light shining in them, yet they claimed that light and acted upon it, where perhaps in our more comfortable world, we do not. There is always something else we can find to draw our attention away from what Spirit is calling us to in the immediate, the real moment of our lives. We need not berate ourselves. Do not waste such precious moments on judgment. The Christos came to call us forth into the light of who we truly are. This is not a knowledge that must need be adorned. It is as plain and simple as the homespun robe Yeshua wore. Accepting the summoning, as did Lazarus, and all else is revealed. Accept the summoning, and all else is revealed. In this manner, so the rite of Avalon, Akka, Sholar, holds a potential to allow us to unfold the cloth of our true raiment. Let us see where this leads us and where it does not. And then I quote from a book called The Cultural Creatives by Paul H. Ray, PhD, and Sherry Ruth Anderson, PhD. That's The Cultural Creatives. You might want to take a look at this book. After extensive research since the 1980s, the authors coined cultural creatives for one of the three major subcultures in America, the other two being moderns and traditionals. I quote some brief passages from their book. Cultural creatives are the ones who invented the current interest in personal authenticity in America. Authenticity means that your actions are consistent with what you believe and what you say. Now, I just have to stop for a moment. I just have to, because this was written in 2001, and the book was probably written in the 1990s. Where are we now in 2016? Well, this authenticity means that your actions are consistent with what you believe and what you say. What are the millennials doing now? I know a lot of us oldies too, but let's look at the millennials. They are doing that. They are saying, we will be consistent with what we believe and what we say. We will not vote for Hillary Clinton, or we will not vote for the lesser two evils. We will not do this or that. We will do with what our heart tells us to do, regardless of what people are saying with fear mongering. This is what we will do. And each person is doing that with dedication. And I don't know that we could say that about the young people in 2000, in mass, like we can now. These young people are amazing, absolutely amazing. And I think this line connects to that. The people in this new subculture prefer to learn new information and to get involved in ways that feel more authentic to them. Almost always, this preference involves direct personal experience in addition to intellectual ways of knowing. Absolutely. These young ones are getting out there for their direct experience. They're going out there. They're getting people to stay with their kids. They're getting leave from their jobs. They're quitting their jobs. They're doing whatever it takes to get out there for whatever it needs doing, It is.
Hi.
Yeah. It is my conviction that the rite of Avalon, while held tenderly in the midst, is also meant to integrate with the real, the authentic in our lives. As wise women of the willow path, how can we view our roles, both individually and collectively, in the mists that water the earth? What is it that is meaningful to us in sustaining the memory, the purity, and the sovereignty of our Avalon being in the 21st century? Further, who does the Grail serve in our Avalon quest? Individually, each of us must find our own inner response to these questions. Boy, I'll tell you, reading it now from 2016 gives it far more meaning to me than it did even when I wrote it. Okay. Okay, we have one more left, and then we're gonna dive in all together here. Oh, hello, Kailasa.
Kailasa, do you have your skull with you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, because we all do.
Yeah.
Okay, sweeties. Here we go. I'm reading my last one now, and then we can get to talking. This is from the old Rite of Avalon material. When I began the Rite of Avalon, it was for the purpose of evolving the tribal consciousness, both in myself and offering it as a conduit for the planetary evolution. So what do I mean when I say tribal consciousness? In this discourse, I share my Thothian perspective on it. There are three forms I'm addressing here: ancient tribal, new tribal, and universal tribal. Ancient tribal. Ties through bloodlines, which creates a strong generational consciousness. These ties can be further strengthened through the buying, trading, or conquering of land and possessions, inclusive of women who bring new blood strains to strengthen the patriarchal lineage and yet are usurped into the patriarchal family. In rare instances, such as with the Amazon women, the dominant family was matriarchal, but the premise of accumulating possessions and new blood are essentially the same. In the ancient tribal, the ends often justifies the means, although if one goes far enough back into time, with the Lemurians and Atlanteans, for instance, there were strains of tribes who did not embrace that motto. However, even then, many did live by it. Those most ancient of days were not ideal. Both Lemuria and Atlantis were violently disposed by the laws of cause and effect because they were not, as a whole, aligned to universal principle. Now, we're speaking here of Atlantis and Lemuria as continents, nations that had rules and laws, had people and governing agents. We're not speaking of Mu in the state of the lotus as it's descending to the earth. You know, we're talking about the more physical realities of these nations of people. It was the impulses of the ancient tribal that dragged the priestesses from the temples of Lemuria and then Atlantis and replaced them with puppets of the newly established patriarchy. It was also the ancient tribal in the form of the matriarchy that took revenge on the masculine element, however and whenever they could. So we go now to the new tribal. The new tribal can be most emphasized in our culture by the hippies of the 1960s. What they attempted in excess really contains the elements of the new tribal consciousness. To be communal, to love the act of living, the natural and the natural expressions of the flesh. While to celebrate life is the basic theme of the new tribal, whether it be through hippie-type indulgences or more 21st century gatherings of spirit, there is a sense of exclusivity in the same breath with a declaration of equality. We are all equal, yet we are separate from and beyond those who do not have the range of vision that we perceive we have. This translates into, among us, the tribe, we are all equal, but we are more evolved than the other tribes. The new tribal has evolved from the more ancient and holds dear certain human rights and individuality that the ancient tribal did and does not. When I speak of evolution in this sense, I'm not attempting to devalue individual human beings. I'm looking at the whole cloth of the planetary consciousness of which each and every living thing on the planet is part of and cannot, in the primary sense, be separate from. In this context, even Mother Teresa, the Pope, and the Dalai Lama have strains of both ancient and new tribal consciousness within them. Another major difference between ancient and new tribal, and this is an important one, is that ancient tribal was about bloodlines above everything else, above anything else. A great deal of energy is spent in keeping the bloodlines pure, mixing them with forethought and expediency for the tribe, and if necessary, killing off any within that bloodline who would not cooperate with the program established by the hierarchy of the greater family. I'm going to pause to say we can see some of that going on right now, can't we? Okay. The renegades of the tribe could not be permitted to create their own strains to perpetuate the bloodline. Blood to the ancient tribal mind is seen as magical and powerful. The gods speak and empower through it. Therefore, whomever controls the lineage controls not only the tribe, but has power over the kingdoms of tribes whose bloodlines have become subordinate to them. New tribal has dispensed with the importance of bloodlines in the old world sense. In fact, the genetic family unit is often openly ridiculed among the new tribal people. Families in the new tribal tend to be viewed as one's nemesis rather than their power structure. The bloodline has changed its outer skin. Instead of actual genetic blood, the tribal system has developed a synthetic blood of shared ideologies and spiritual beliefs. It is now the tribal Baptists, Catholics, Jews. It is now the tribal Baptists, Catholic, Jews, or Muslims, or even the Yankees fans. There is, of course, an overlap at points in the human condition where bits of both ancient and tribal come together. The finest qualities of the new tribal is the turning towards spiritual thought beyond religious boundaries. This is to be found in increasing numbers of pockets within the new tribal. Yet even these new tribal spiritualities find themselves attempting to link together through etheric bloodlines of the incarnational past or ultra dimensions. There's nothing wrong with this. It is simply a step in moving more and more into the universal tribal consciousness. Now, let's take a look at that. You know, when we're dealing with our skull family and what they represent, the dwellers, what do the dwellers tell us? That they are holding the bloodline, the blood connection. They are holding the DNA and the blood memory of the tribes of the earth. So what they're doing is they're holding the finest elements of these things. Because if you piece together just the true finer elements of what this has represented for the human, what this is, not represented, what this is for the human experience on earth, this is a beautiful light spectrum that can lead us onward, not go backward into it, but lead us onward. What we have done is we've colored that, and we've colored it with all these old tribal, new tribal, we've colored it with all these spectrums that we thought we wanted to represent through it. And so that's all falling away. And the new tribal is falling away as well, but not until it transforms itself and it brings it up to a level where it can actually act as a platform into the universal tribal. So we go to that. I cannot fully elaborate on this consciousness as I am in the process of moving toward it. So that was in 2001. So my perspective, even with Thothian insight, will speak through the lens of my journey. From this view, the universal tribal consciousness appears to me as a balancing of the heart and mind within the crucible of awareness that all tribes are notes within the same symphony. Each holds and vibrates their individual note. Just as within each tribe, the individual member becomes a vibrational note that is unique and yet resonant with the entire song. This is a thought most people in the new tribal consciousness readily adhere to in principle, yet few of us live it in each and every moment and in each emotional and mental stroke we create on the tablet of time in our daily realities. To fully exist within the universal tribal means that a person must do just that. They must live and breathe the feeling at a cellular level that their tribe is merely a note within a larger gathering of tribes, and that no tribes are separate from their own. I'm not sure what that meant. The tribal path of the most horrendous murder is not separate from your own in the larger universal sense. For the tribe is really not an outer reality, but an inner one. You are a tribe who is resonant with other tribes of thought and feeling, thus becoming part of that larger tribal mix. Excuse me. And to make it a little clearer, because I don't think I was quite clear there, you know, I think we're linked to the tribe that created the worst murder we can imagine. Well, we are, because you see, in the true spiritual sense, we're all souls of God. And we all made an agreement to come to this planet at one time or another, and here we are together. So we can't separate ourselves out from any of that stuff going on. And when I want to tear my hair out about what's going on, you know, in our country right now and in the world, I have to remember that. I have to bring myself back to that, not in blame or in judgment of myself, but the fact that it's all linked together. And the only way we transform what is there First, we have to recognize it, and we have to speak about it in clear language, but in heart-centeredness. And then we have to, in addition to taking whatever action in a peaceful and heart-balanced way on the planet, we have to go into it spiritually and identify where that spiritual seed is residing in the being or beings that are creating such atrocities, you know? And Simeon did this years ago. My former husband, Simeon Nartuman, when we were together, he did this with Hitler. You know, he took Hitler in his mind, and he said, well, what was Hitler's divine seed? I mean, you know, what was it that motivated him that was of truth, even though it was so horribly contorted and distorted in action? And let's see now, what did he say? I hope I'm quoting him correctly, but I believe he said something about the desire to purify all things and beings, the desire to purify it. And therefore, you know, it would bring it into light, into unity. So he was going about trying to purify the race, you know, and do all this awful stuff. And it was horribly contorted. But if you go deep enough into that spiritual essence, what was he trying, you know, wanting to express that he couldn't for reasons we won't get into here. So I think this is what it's talking about. We don't have to spend a whole lot of cerebral time on each individual. What are they trying to do? But just to know that there is an expression in them that's trying to seek light. And it's been horribly corrupted maybe, but it's trying to get there. And when we do that, we can help them get there simply by recognizing that and putting the energy of our soul consciousness and spirit and saying, I see you. I see all this other stuff you're doing, and I recognize it, and I'm going to call it out. But I also see you. And this is the most healing thing that can happen. Even if you can't say it to the person's face, you're saying it to their etheric being and their spiritual sense, you know?
And some of those things in these people that you're talking about, Maya, can you hear me?
Yes, Jim.
Is just a mirror reflection of what's going on in us.
Yes.
So, yeah, I can see it actually, what's playing out on the world stage at the moment are parts of myself that I have to work on and shine the light on within myself. And then, you know, that really is, these people are our greatest teachers.
Yes. Yeah, and that's the Ho'oponopono, you know, you say your prayer for yourself and love and forgive yourself, and that's working with all of humanity.
Right. Taking responsibility.
Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah.
He didn't do that. I did that.
Yes.
And it's all for the ultimately it's all for the greater good.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. I also believe in spitting in the clay, though, and taking action on the physical level, but doing so from that perspective. So that links the two. That links the outer world, and that links the inner world. And that, if we don't act in that way, then it's all for naught. You know, it's just muddying the waters.
And like, I believe that we are the change that we want to see in the world.
Exactly.
So, and we've got to really get in and stop mucking about and clean out the mud from ourselves, you know, just shine that light.
The lotuses that we are.
Yes, yes. I have one last paragraph, short paragraph, and then I'm through, guys, and we will open the whole thing up. In the Rite of Avalon, in the Sholar, we will follow a path to move our own individual tribes and the one we share as sistars into resonance with the universal tribal. We do this for our own evolution and to act as a conduit for the planetary evolution as well. All aspects of the rite in which we engage, such as sacred ground, that's a part of what we were doing then, is intended for this purpose. From the Coming of the Divine Feminine by Sha'Maia-NEAAF, Chapter 8, Entrance to the Underworld. This is the last little piece here, quoting from that book. Only the descent into the darkness of unconscious can release you from ancestral thought forms that keep you in bondage. Then must you descend into the greater darkness, into the purgatory of all souls, and atone for them who descended into darkness and their lives unresolved, with their lives unresolved. Free your ancestors from their suffering, those abandoned souls, crying out for recognition and for redemption. Our destiny is to heal the bloodline, the chalice is within, The chalice contains the blood of Christ. The blood of Christ shall heal the world. And of course, she's speaking of universal Christ here. And you know, I just, in conclusion, I say, remember, there's the white road path and the red road path. The red road is the blood lineage. The white road is the receipt of grace. And when you bring the stone of the white road, or the white stone, and you dip it into the grail cup, the grail blood, there you have the transformation of the grail blood lineages. You can't leave them behind by saying, well, I'm just going to embrace the white path, to heck with the bloodlines, you know, the grail, that's all. No, that's past. No, it's not past. Those made it very clear. We are in a state of transforming it. All these lineages, and that's what this is about, or you know, the dwellers are about. They wouldn't be here helping us from the perspective of the bloodlines and the grail DNA and all of that if it weren't for the fact that it's intended to be transformed, not left behind. And once it's transformed, then of course we move into a whole new phase of understanding our beings and accepting the white path. End. I'm through. Okay, so I know we have a lot of wonderful people wanting to share a lot of wonderful things here. So let's open it up. You can ask questions, but it doesn't have to be a question. You have your own things to say. So just say what you want within reason.
May I just say that 20 minutes before our talk here, I just got this very distinct, and it's very clear and it's very easy to understand, but we all come together as like the perfect orchestra or the perfect symphony. We are all our own frequency, and our each unique frequency come together in a perfect harmonic orchestra, and that perfect melody that we create together in one way or another will open up a certain energies, and to me it's very easy because it's the frequency and the sounds together. It's so easy to understand. Yes. That we all have our own unique frequency, and it has a tone, and us coming together in the perfect moment will create that perfect song, or that perfect, you know.
Yes, it will. It will.
So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Why does she go like this? Come on, I know you have something to say. Okay.
I was thinking about what you're reflecting, Maya, back on to the times of the 70s, and the clarity of when you're looking for the past and you're reading your papers from that you wrote in the 80s and the 90s, and how relevant they are now, and even in a different perspective, or they're becoming refocused and more clear. And I think that that's such a wonderful, I love when the recognition of that, because I see the same thing quite often where I just will say, oh, I created this piece and didn't really quite understand the meaning, and it's so relevant to right now. So in the timeline of all the events that are going on, you look back at the 60s when the young people were quite active. I was one of them. We were there protesting and active, like you see the millennials are doing now with Bernie, and I'm so excited to see that happening, because to me it seemed like it was so much apathy for so long, and everybody doing their inner work and struggling with their egos and this, that, or the other. But now there seems to be this unified moment that's happening.
Yes. And you know,
for a long time it felt like it wasn't. It was just like flatlined, you know? And so to see this right now, to me, is really exciting.
It is amazing. I know they were already building.
It's a done deal. It's good. We're already there, like you said.
Yeah. Well, and you know, the movement of the 60s, the thing that they didn't have to their advantage that the millennials have now, and all of us that are involved in it, is the internet. And Facebook, well, even though Facebook is bought and paid for, they can't close it down. I mean, things are still happening, and all these other sites, all the networking that's going on. See, the hippies didn't have that, you know. The movement of the 60s didn't have that, you know. So now we can reach the world like that, you know. And if we didn't have that, we would never know the elections were stolen from us. We would hardly know that Bernie ever existed or that Jill Stein ever existed. You know, these things would not be made known to us. We'd just watch the CNN and, you know, Hillary, yay, Hillary. You know, we wouldn't know anything, you know. So thank God we have that now.
What they knew was all the negative stuff that was happening because of the media back then. So now we have an interface here, exactly.
Yeah.
For you to see and link in to a more positive format and see things that you wouldn't normally see on our news. And it's to me, that's quite, quite enlightening and quite,
Yeah. Patricia?
More importantly, the issue is balance. Back then, it was impossible to balance anything because we only heard the one side.
That's right.
Women got nowhere because they weren't like now. I mean, we can talk to each other. How were we going to talk to each other back then?
Yeah.
You'd have to write a letter and wait weeks and weeks.
Yeah.
But you couldn't interact with a whole bunch of other women at once unless you were all in the same place at the same time.
That's
the
true.
internet has opened that all up and has moved the balancing of everything that much further along. We lose sight of what the real goal is if we put our noses right into a specific issue.
Yeah.
We have to remember the big picture.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and there's so many different ways to do it. We're on Zoom right now. Look how easy this is. And it's free. Well, it's not free if you want to talk longer like I do. So I paid for it. But you can get it free. And, you know, look at Second Life that many of us are engaged in the virtual. My God, you know, people from all over the world meet there and discuss their ideas. And so this is true, and we're blessed to have this now. And for those of us that are a little bit older than the millennials, well, we're just so blessed to be on this wave. We're getting caught up with it. We're grannies on the surfboard, and the millennials are pushing us. I like that one.
I have a question.
So yeah.
Okay, you can't identify Kailasa.
No, she's the, well, neither can Donna, you know, well, even Raven and
This is all normal for me.
They are grannies yet, no.
I'm way up there, Maya. I'm not way up there. I have 3 millennial children, so.
Yeah, right. There you go.
I have a question.
Yes.
About the relationship, or I'm not sure how to ask this, but can you address the Elixis Mundi in relationship to the ignition of the 4444 Stargate?
Ah, wow, what a question. I mean, it's a good question. I'm not sure I can answer it. let me think a minute. Well, the Elixir Mundi is still somewhat of a mystery to me because, as I tell you, I get things, you know, like 30 minutes before I knew I was going to read this. It's like they come when they're supposed to come. So I don't have the bigger picture when I start talking about something. But I'm beginning to see more and more that the Elixis Mundi is the elixir. It's the magic elixir. You want to call it prima matra, you know, or you know, the white powder gold, or it's like the elixir of spirit that activates everything else. We have to have something that liquefies all, so to bring it into one consciousness spectrum. And I believe that the Elixis Mundi is representing that within our Osiris Arising project. And so that's why it's so amorphous and difficult to grab hold of, because it's liquid, you know. And what I'm seeing from it at this point in time in regard to the Stargate and the whole ascension movement is that it is bringing together ways and means to it's like, okay, I'm stuttering because I'm seeing it as I'm seeing it. I'm trying to verbalize it, and I haven't verbalized it before. I'm being shown all these portals with their Areopaxes or Isis eyes vibrating, okay, all over the planet. And now they're vibrating, they're able to begin to vibrating in sync. Whereas before they didn't. We thought of all these portals as these perfect places, but these portals all needed healing work. They were not vibrating together. Some of them had dark overlays. They still do. I'm speaking in past tense because I'm seeing it like a future scope. But they're starting to break up. all of this is starting to break up, is a wave, a movement. And why? Because with that May 29th date, and I give that, when Thoth gives dates like that, it's not like, boom, May 29th, everything changes. No, he gives a date that we can focus and organize our energy, because within that spectrum of time is when this happens. That's why I give a date. But with that May 29th date, and the energy started opening from the center, from our mother universe, from the Atosic Nutra universe, so the mother's milk could pour through to us from that mother universe, not just to our planet, but to the universe, that we have in our holographic field. That was so important, and that began the process of clearing out the portals, doing the dusting, doing the heavy lifting, carrying the boulders and the objects that didn't belong in the portal out, so to speak. And all these portals are being house cleaned, and I can't give you a time spectrum on it or which ones are moving faster. I can't say anything, but all I can say is it's happening. And as we who are working within the Elixir Mundi, those who choose to and actually go to these places to set the aerial packs in motion there, it's like, well, why do we need people to do that? I mean, it's being done anyway. Yes, it's being done anyway. But when human beings intentionally interact with that, whether it's armchair people like me, but even more important, people that get out of their armchairs and go to the site and do the work for the people that are in their armchairs and helping, they're focusing and helping them do it. That means that the action that has been put into motion, let's call it naturally, through the whole sequencing event, is locked on to the DNA, and it's boosted 1,000-fold, and it's also synchronized with us, the human beings. We're not just saying, okay, well, we'll just wait till all this happens and then we'll just no, we have to become a part of what is being set into motion on this planet, and that includes what's going on with the Elixir Mundi. So when we connect our DNA to that action by, some of us going and doing these things, then we help that to be locked into our DNA. And Elixir Mundi, or Stars Arising Project, we're just a little project in the midst of many things that are going on. You could say that, but you could also say that we are the project. Why? Because every project is the project if it's linked to the spiritual all, So we are the spiritual all, I am the spiritual all, you are the spiritual all. So we don't want to have visions of grandeur that we're, saving the planet for everybody else. But at the same time, we want to realize that everybody's saving the planet for everybody else. And so we have that role, and let's not diminish it, Let's take responsibility for it where we feel guided to do so. Did that kind of answer that for you in a little, or did it not?
It did. I think so.
You're rolling your eyes.
Well, I was thinking so in a way that could be this elixir could be I guess a reflection of the ignition, I don't know, of the Stargate.
Yes, well, I see what you're getting to. Yes, I sort of lost track of you there.
Okay.
to roll back a bit, the actual LP40 event of the Stargate ignition of the planetary all into the ascension modality. And for those of you who haven't followed my work, I'm not going to try to explain that to you. You'll just have to read the stuff on my web. But that part right there, without all of these areopaxes spinning on the planet, that could not take place. So we have to get it all in motion, harmonized to the same frequency level, so that the Merkaba can collect it all. And see, it's not going to be doing that until the Pyramidus Radius brings all the harmonized energies of all these portals within its spectrum, and then it can start activating through that energy the establishing of these holographic pyramidal modes that are encapsulating the new codes of our knowledge and wisdom that is essentially us. It's hard to explain. I sound like I'm spinning my wheels. I can hear myself talking, but I'm not really telling you anything because I can't get it, this part that I'm trying to express here. I can't get it into words. It's like I see it. I see that, okay, let's say Raven. Okay, I see you as a person, but I also see you as this immense being and you have all these codes and energies and fields and things all encompassing, and here you are, just a little part of you here. And I see that as the aerial pack spinning of all these portals of the Elixis Mundi set up a resonance field, and it clicks into the greater pyramidus radius field, then all of this together allows you to become the being you are. In other words, you can see it all. You stand in the center, and all of a sudden, oh, that's what I'm feeling. How is it going to outplay? Are you really going to stand in a pyramid and all of this stuff floats around your head? I don't think so. But that's the way I'm seeing it,
I'm the Taurus.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to share one thing real quick. Reagan, as soon as you asked your question, my whole crown went like this. And everything started spinning. I could barely sit in my seat right now because the spinning is just making me so dizzy, and it won't stop. It's like I just feel so. Anyway, I just wanted to share that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I say that for me? Oh, sorry. Well, for me, the elixir is like the collective truth that has ever been, that has ever will ever be.
Yeah.
It's like the truth. It's like the liquid consciousness of everything. So I don't know if, like I told you before, Maya, like I've heard about this liquid that is placed in the Great Pyramid in Egypt, and I don't remember the exact details. I have to go back and look at this, but it's like it's gonna be found when humanity is ready, and it's like a film or a movie of the Earth history, or maybe our solar system's history, but it's in liquid form. And so to me, maybe that's part of the Elixis Mundi, but to me it feels so much like the collective truth that has ever been and will ever be. And somehow, and also for me that it's very important also because I've had this vision where I am with myself and others. I see sisters, a couple of women or more, a group, that I am actually physically at the pyramid in Egypt and doing tonings or singing a certain melody or a certain sacred tone that only a few maybe remember from the ancient past, that is like coded within, a certain people. And when I do this toning, or maybe a few of us, that will open up some sort of portal or something in the pyramid. And maybe that's an activation, because this vision I had like 6 months ago, and now all this. So I just feel I'm on the right track with whatever's going to come in the future. So
yeah. If you can find that link to the liquid, I would really like to see it. Maybe you could put it on Osiris Arising if you can find it.
Yeah, it's a family thing as well. It's like, it's go back to the I've been thinking about maybe putting together some things about it. I have so much in my head about it. So
okay, Pamela.
I keep hearing this word liquid, and I keep going back to how the skulls are created, and reading one of your posts that I just read recently that was little nucleus of explaining the skulls, and it was explaining how the skulls were made and how it actually liquefied before the actual brain and the skull liquefied. And so I keep hearing this liquid. Last night I went online and I was looking at the different states of matter. And apparently in April 2016 there was a new discovery, and it had to do, I'm not sure if it was using laser magnets. Does anybody know about this? But it was actually creating a new form of energy, and it was someone in a liquid state alive. And I just kind of went, wow, that's
another Elixis form,
Pamela, you have to do what the rest of us have to do. Sit on your hands so that it doesn't disturb you.
Yeah, right. I'm trying to this because it gyrates the cameras, yeah. Yes,
Right.
yes, dear.
I've been having very intense head cold since July 26th.
Ah.
So I'm still, my head is quite dizzy, but it's just wonderful to be with everyone here today. And I just want to comment on what you said earlier, Maya, about the white road and the red road, about the innocence and the bloodlines. It reminded me of the rose journey we were on in June in France, because the theme was illuminate your rose heart, and the main three roses are the white rose, it's divine innocence, and the ruby or red rose of divine passion, and the third one is a golden rose, divine illumination.
Beautiful.
And I feel that is somehow connected. And also I feel that we are all very connected to this rose mystery all together. So I just wanted to mention that.
The rose mystica, that so speaks
Yes.
of 72 petals,
Yes.
It is a mystery. It's, I've never really been able to apprehend the whole of what it means, but it's at the very heart of everything, all the work I do.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I can't just sit here and say, oh, well, it means this. I really can't. It's like this quantumized rose that's here and not here, and I guess the closest I could say about it is that it unifies all mysteries into the great mystery, and the great mystery is revealed to the one who travels the 72 paths to its center. And that in itself sounds mysterious, but that's what kind of boils down to,
Can you repeat that?
DNA as well, because the Imstra molecule has been equated to the rose mystica as well in some way. I can't remember how right now, but the Imstra molecule is the molecule we have that everybody wants. The human beings on Earth have, that a lot of the interloping ETs and whatever are trying. That's why they're doing all their genetic stuff with us, because they're trying to figure out how to get that Imstra molecule, but you can't breed it into another form. So, anyway, we'll go off on that. But the rose mystica and the Imstra molecule are very closely related, if not maybe on some levels the same thing. I think when the Imstra molecule does its spin thing, there's an instant where it becomes the rose mystica, like that, like a flash, and there it is as the rose mystica. That's what I'm getting right now. That's what I just got.
So, yes, I mean, what I was feeling or getting was that this 72, I mean, this double is 144, and when I see the rose activates within us, it becomes 144 petals.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not really getting the whole picture either, but some of the pieces I was receiving is that when we embody these rose frequencies, these multidimensional all aspects, we are actually indeed becoming the tree of light, and we are holding the water. It was spring of life, actually is in womb, and then from there we create our own tree of light, and it has somehow combination of this rose, and that was what I was receiving, some pieces of it in preparation for the journey. And I mean, I have received visions in 2011, but I think somehow we all received the full picture in the perfect timing, I believe.
I do.
Yeah.
Too. It's so obvious. Even when I was reading something, I thought, well, what do I name this? I have to have some title for what we're doing here. What did I call it? I can't even remember now. Something the balance, striking the balance. And it just came to me, okay, so I'll name it that, but I didn't know why. And then I'm reading one of my older articles for the first time in years, with you guys, and it says finding the balance, and it's focusing on that. It's like, well, there it is, and that's what we're talking about. That's what all of this is about. But I'm not trying to hurt it in that direction. It's just happening, So like you were saying, when it's revealed when it's revealed, and you just take that step, and then you don't have to know the whole thing because you know it on some level, but I mean, you consciously don't. Just take it a step at a time and have the faith that the next step is going to be there. More than the faith, the inner, you know.
And I want to show your mantra and our imagination together. I will send it soon this week.
Oh, chock full of good energies now.
It's interesting. I totally missed the title of this, and yet balance is what came up when we were talking.
Yeah, yes.
So that was like, whoa. When you said that, it was like, what is this?
Oh, yes, Pamela.
I just wanted to tell you that I wish I could expound more on this, but there's one 44.
Honey, we can't hear you. Your mic is.
It's on. Can you hear me?
Okay.
There's a 144 tuning fork.
Oh.
Gold. And I wish I have
It's
one.
called what? Called what?
It's called spiritual gold.
Ooh. Oh.
Ouch,
That hurts.
I have them. Randy created it. I wish I could expound more on it. I'm going to be seeing him next weekend, and that's one of my questions for him. So when I get more information, I'll put it on OA.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm going to get that mic today. I'm going to order it so that I can, we can better use the tuning forks. At the end, I'm going to do some tuning forks. You can do your bowls or at the end of our little gathering. But I want to be able to record them in the way that I'm recording them in process that I've been guided to deliver, of my videos, but I can't get the sound well with this system like it is. So, the system works, but I don't have a mic. So that's what I'm going to do. And then we'll have the sound of all these beautiful harmonics. Oh, I love it. Oh,
Maya,
yeah.
can you hear me, Maya?
I certainly can, my dear.
Yeah. I was wondering if we could do some sort of meditation or something with our hostess calls. We're here together, right? So let's do something with this.
Absolutely. And that's why I have all these things together. We have our skulls here. So let's do that.
I need to bring my.
Okay. Well, let's connect ourselves and just relax and do breathing and I have here the Mary Magdalene and the 265. I don't know how well this is going to sound out. I should have brought the little puck and I didn't. But we'll start with a little tuning. Can you hear that at all?
Yeah.
Gonna do it again. Let's try to get our everybody. If you could turn off your mics, but me, I think it will help get some of this. This is the sacred site, not the sacred site. The Mary Magdalene and the 265 together. Pamela, what does that really do when you bring the two together?
It creates a Vesica Pisca, which is, if you visualize two circles, you know what a Vesica Pisca is, everybody, right? So it creates that space of creation. Between the two forks, the center, which is the pesca, the fish, is a portal. It's a creation portal, and it's how everything creation.
There's some really strange noises coming through. Can you hear that? Sounds like voice.
I'm sorry. They're starting to mow the lawn. So I don't know how much meditation we're going to get now, Kailasa, because they're out there just whacking away.
Pamela, can you repeat what you said for me? I just couldn't.
The Vesica Pisca, which everybody knows what that is, it's the seed of life. And as it moves into two, the two interlocking aspects looks like a fish. Where you see this everywhere in Chartres Cathedral. It's the two circles together, and then in the middle you have it's like a portal, like this. It's like a womb space. And your eye, your a woman's opening. Everywhere in your body, you'll see that. But it's at center place, and 265 and 153 are actually the diameter and the I'm sorry, not the diameter, the parallel and the perpendicular lines. So 265 is the lateral one going up and down, and 153 is actually the perpendicular. And 153 is also a nod to Magdalene, which is, she was referred to in the Bible as 153. The fisherman's net caught 153 fish. So there's a lot of meaning between those two frequencies, and hertz. And when you use them together in ceremony with unweighted forks, it creates that Vesica Pisca. So you can use that like this in a ceremony, hit them and go like this and create that field of energy also.
He stopped. I put the earphones in because it will make less noise for all of you.
Actually, as soon as you did that, Pamela became a lot clearer.
When I put my earphones in? That's interesting. Well, they stopped doing their thing. I'm just going to do it one more time so we can just hear it before he starts up again, which he will. Oh, there we are. Now, he's not doing it right now, but if he does, I'll put my earphones back on because that will limit the sound that you guys hear as well. So let's just take a few moments. Let us visualize ourselves on the steps, the 3 steps leading down to the pool of the goddess fold. We don't have to be wearing emeralds, but we can just sit there and feel the liquid light shining from the pool. And the vapors are literally, we're breathing in the mist, and it's coming into our bodies. And we are experiencing that love, that joy of life. Despite whatever challenges we may be facing, each of us, we know that we are full of light. And all we have to do is just open up, and that light shines through every cell of our bodies and every cell of the world. And so we just express that together here now, and we know that all of us together share that solidity, that feeling, I shouldn't say solidity, that liquefaction that we all share together is one of a fluid movement of spirit that embraces all beauty, all light, but it also moves into the places of darkness and anguish, and it revives the light. It calls it forth. It says, I know you're here. I know you're here. Just as Jesus in the cave with Lazarus, I call you forth into the light, into our own spaces of darkness. That is where we call it forth, because those spaces are connected to everyone's spaces. And so we move into the places of darkness within our quantified field of us. And we say, I know you're here. I know the light abides here. Come forth, come forth. And we feel the presence of the dwellers as they uplift and uphold the Osiris arising in what we are doing with this project and with the light program of Elixis Mundi. But more importantly, with our own life lessons, our own being, our own spiritual process of enlightenment, of awakening. And we hold these truths to be natural law, not man-made, not hierarchy-made, but natural law of the universal godness that perpetuates us, it sings in us, that we speak when we open our mouths. It is there everywhere. It is in us. Let us join virtual hands and Om together. And so it is. Wow, talk about timing. We started the buzzsaw again.
And so it is.
Thank you.
So I suppose that's our timing also to conclude our gathering for the day. But we're definitely going to be having more of these, right?
Before you go, I wanted to share one thing.
Yes.
This is the ancestral key.
Oh, that's that bead that you got.
It's the key to the gates.
Ah.
It's really hard to see, I know.
Yeah, yeah. This is an ancient bead that Tricia came into possession of. Mm-hmm.
So it carries the ancestral lines of, oh God, I don't even know where to begin. Not current ancestral lines. This is ancient.
Mm-hmm.
So is it an actual seed from a tree? Or?
No, it's a bead. It's a bead that was made ancient times, long, long, long time ago.
It's not, man. It's not any material that we can identify. And it's not man-made. I mean, it's, you know, it's not machine-made or anything. It's interesting. I can't get close enough to show you.
Probably an off-world creation, we might say.
Yeah, I can really feel that. That's amazing.
It's very powerful.
Oh, yeah.
Have you felt if you're going to use it sometime?
We have used it. We've already created one protocol with it, a healing protocol, and brought in other genealogies, current genealogies. It has already collected the Aztec genealogy and the Hawaiian genealogy. I don't know what else it's called in so far, but those are the ones I'm aware of. So it's, despite the genealogies, I don't know what the purpose of all of that is, but this is the master one. There are at least 3 others, and I consider this to be like the main library, and the others are like the satellite libraries. So when it collects stuff, it passes it off to the others, so they all talk to each other.
Do you know who has the others? Do you know of any others?
Not directly. I could find out. I don't think it really matters. The person who would know is a former sister. So I would have to contact her and find out. It's being the key is the key to the gateway. It's the key to the gateways, not just one gateway, but gateways, interdimensional timeline, all of that. So
it comes out of China, doesn't it?
That's where it was discovered. But who knows how it got there to begin with.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So.
Wow, that's incredible. Ladies, I'm going to have to cut it now. I love you all, and this has been incredible. And we're going to put this video out for everyone. So thank you so much for participating in it and adding your light and beauty and wisdom.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Maya. Bye, everyone.
Aloha, everybody.
Aloha. Have a wonderful
Bye.
Sunday or Sunday night.
Let's see. Stop recording. Pause. Stop recording.